Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't usually ask people to state their name, but I know who you are. This is Conrad Stoltz, okay, Xterra world champion, okay. How long have you been on PowerCranks, Conrad?
Frank's my second year on PowerCranks. The first 3 weeks felt like 5 years, but once I got to ride the PowerCranks properly and once my muscles adapted, the time flew, and yeah, 2 years.
Steve Larson told me it was a week after he got on PowerCranks before he started referring to me by terms found in the dictionary. How did your adaptation go? Was it pretty quick, or?
Well, my first ride was 45 minutes, and the longest I could pedal without stopping was 1:30. And by the end of the 45 minutes, I felt like calling a friend with a cell phone and asking them to come pick me up. I was really broken. It felt like I was doing lunges in the gym with heavy weights. So the first ride was quite epic. I do all my riding on the road. I don't ride on the trainer at all. After 3 weeks, I could stand up for the first time. I was doing the 53.11 going up a steep hill. I could stand up for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was monumental. And then after 6 weeks, I could ride 2 hours without stopping. So I think to me 6 weeks was the breakthrough. And then after the 6 weeks, things came easily. And since then, it's just, if I haven't been riding the cramps for a couple of weeks because of off season or racing, I just get on and I go right away, and I don't have to do the adaptation all over again. It's once you've ingrained that new pedaling pattern, and I think once you've got the muscles built up, it just goes from there.
Yeah, it takes a while to build up, but you also lose it slowly. I mean, you would lose it if you were off too long, but you can stay off for a little bit and then come back quickly.
Definitely, yeah, you really do come back, and I must admit it made a really big difference in my running speed and strength. Last year I didn't improve I didn't train much harder running. I just trained the exact same program that I did the year before, but I trained on the PowerCranks, and my running last year was the fastest it's ever been. You come off a really hard bike ride and you start the run and the legs are just much more fresher, and I think that's where the PowerCranks made a big difference for me.
Yeah, you were at the top of the heap in your cycling before PowerCranks, right?
Yeah,
so yeah. But the running, so for I mean, most people see both running and cycling improvement, but it's harder to gauge a cycling improvement in somebody who's already at the top.
Yeah, it brought my run up, and I think some of the other guys last year will agree. I made the races in the bike where I would make 4 minutes or 5 minutes on an hour 15, hour 20 bike, and it sews up the race. I mean, if you bike like that, you don't really have to do much else spectacular. Right. But it did bring my run up, and this year it's hard to judge because I've had so many injuries and haven't really been able to train. But I think later towards the end of the year, with world champs and USA champs, I'll be riding the cranks, and hopefully we'll see an added difference.
Well, with the injuries you've had, were the PowerCranks helpful in your being able to, let's see, forget that one.
Yeah.
Help you in your recovery?
I tore both Achilles slightly, and from cycling I did the 950 kilometer Cape Epic mountain bike race, and I tore both Achilles slightly. And when I started riding again after a couple of weeks of treatment and a couple of weeks off the bike, I found that riding with the PowerCranks was less painful than riding with normal cranks. And I think with the normal cranks you would compensate, or you'll do the wrong thing, whereas with the PowerCranks you're forced to do the right thing, and I could do more without pain than I did with normal cranks.
Well, and you didn't have to run either, so you're riding PowerCranks. You could, I mean, basically you're sort of doing your run training without running, so when you are able to run, then you really haven't lost much.
Yeah, this past weekend I raced Xterra Richmond, and it's just 3 weeks of a little bit of training. I won the race and I ran a pretty solid run. Yeah. So I think it shows that the PowerCranks helps your running, and just with a little bit of running you can really make a little bit of training go a long way.
Despite your claims of being fat and out of shape, right? You're pretty excuses.
Yeah. Well, we'll change that before the end of the year.
Okay. Very good. Do you have any let me ask one of your questions. Do you ride with a power meter? Have you seen any power improvements or not?
No, I haven't ridden with a power meter in the last couple of years. I rode with one about 3-4 years ago. Yeah. I used to ride with the SRM, so now you have to choose which crank you want to use, you know. I think so unless you have the power tap, it's really hard to tell what it is. But my riding style definitely changed, where in the past I used to time trial at 103 RPM. Now I time trial at 88 because I know PowerCranks for me optimally works at 88 RPM. That's where I can keep it most efficiently, and on the flats I can push a big gear and I can just roll it over, and my riding style has definitely changed, and it's faster, I think.
How about your positioning? Did you change the positioning on your bike any?
I haven't really done any time trials in the last year or two, mostly Xterras, and I did change the position a little bit. I sit a little bit more upright. I found another thing with the PowerCrank, the more upright you sit, the stronger you are, and that's how I changed my mountain biking. Aerodynamics is not a big deal. If you sit more upright, you have more technical abilities, and also you have more power. So that's a discovery I made for myself along the way, and I think it came in quite handy.
Very cool. So you ride mostly perceived effort, right?
Yeah, I have a heart rate monitor, but most of my rides are quite easy.
Right.
I function really well on base training, base and strength, and Xterra is a lot about that. It's an aerobic sport. You don't have to sprint, you don't have to attack, you just ride a constant effort, and you need a lot of power, and I think that's where the PowerCranks are wonderful. It builds power.
How about climbing?
Yeah, power is key to climbing. Power to weight ratio. Get your weight down, get your power up, and pedal smoothly. Especially with mountain biking, if you need good traction and you need a good smooth pedaling rhythm, and that's all key.
Well, one thing Jeff Kabush told me that he felt we smoothed out his power so that he was able to ride through things that he couldn't before because of the smoothness. Have you noticed anything like that or not?
Yes, a place like Maui where it's really loose and rocky and dusty, you have to have an extremely smooth pedaling stroke, otherwise you're going to lose traction on the rear wheel, you slip out, you'll have to get off and push your bike. So just by being smooth, and you can get through these things. And another thing I noticed actually was I used to get lower back pains on the bike when I rode really hard, and when I ride with the PowerCranks I don't get the lower back pains. So now when I race, I imagine that I'm riding the cranks, and I try to use the same sensations and the same muscles, and that obviously if I do it correctly, it's hard to do it all the time, especially with mountain biking where you can't think about pedaling all the time because there's other things you have to think about.
Right.
But I can keep the back pain in control and finish better that way.
Very cool, very cool. Any other words of wisdom for the masses out there?
My friends back in South Africa call them the golden wonders because they're golden and they do wonders for your riding, so there you go.
Very good. Thank you.